to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the longest-running Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
We're always in control, and when you say Miami, you're talking to my ball. 'Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins #1.
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast. On this Wednesday, September the 24th, I'm your host, Michael Leva, joined by Tom Ernestine, like I am each and every Wednesday night. Tom, how you feeling on this Wednesday evening?
Kind of crappy, a little under the weather. All the kids are sick, so it's only a matter of time before Dad gets it. But we're here. We're ready to talk some football. A Monday night football game which is featuring the beautiful rivalry uniforms that Mike is now showcasing on our very screens if you're watching.
Yes, got the hat, got a pullover jacket in support of the rivalry uniforms that they will wear this Monday evening. I will say in person, this hat looks very much the blue once you're up close. Now, I know right here on screen I'm looking, kind of looks black. If you're holding it in your hand, it looks blue. This jacket, I don't care what they say, it's black. I don't care what I'm old. I ain't that old. This thing's black at the end of the day. But the hat, you do see the blue, and I'm thinking that's what the uniforms are probably going to more closely resemble the color in the hat. We'll talk about all that stuff and more. But before we get to that, got to get the business stuff out of the way first. First off, shout out to the sponsor of today's show, Caneswear. Everyone go to caneswear.com for the best and most affordable Miami Dolphins apparel on the internet. They got, all the stuff you need for the Miami Dolphins: hat, hoodies, t-shirts, polos, shorts, socks, anything with the Dolphins logo on it for the home, anything with the Dolphins logo on it for the car, caneswear.com. They got stuff for the Miami Hurricanes, ranked number 2 in the country right now, your Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, the Heat, the Marlins, who still got a chance to make the playoffs. Caneswear.com, the most affordable stuff, the most affordable apparel for all the South Florida teams, especially the Miami Dolphins. If you're going to buy something for the Miami Dolphins for yourself, because sometimes you got to treat yourself, or for a family member, go to Caneswear.com first. If you're in South Florida, stop by their shop, 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida. Also, shout out to everyone watching at the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page, run by the great and talented Carlos Hernandez. If you're watching us live on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button right now. I want to see that like button. I want all those smashes on there. And leave us a super chat. We will give your comment priority at the end of the show. We'll read your comment on the screen. Super chats are accepted. It's the best way to support our site and our podcast. And also, Dolphins Talk Extra, patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. $3 a month. You get so much stuff there. I'm not even going to run it down. You probably heard me talk about it before, but patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. All right, let's get to some news. Now, since the game's on Monday, the press conference that Mike McDaniel usually does on Wednesday, where he goes through a bunch of injuries and news, is moved to Thursday. So we don't have that. Here's what we got, though. Number one, Mike McDaniel said this earlier in the week, and don't laugh. Darren Waller is expected to play on Monday. Now, he's going to be on a snap count. He's not going to play, the whole game, but he's going to suit up and play as long as there's not a setback. So Waller is expected to play a tight end. How much or how little he plays, I don't know. Tom, are you excited for the debut of Darren Waller?
Sure. And if he can make any sort of impact on the offense in the little time he's going to probably play, fantastic. But I can't get too excited. He's one bad cut or block away from probably ending up on the shelf with that hip injury again. So I hope he does well. I hope they ease him into action. Also, he said situational. Don't tip your hand when you're going to play the guy, because as soon as he's on the field, it's a passing down. So
Tom, I think everyone under the sun knows that right now. I don't think that's too much of a tip off. Look. I think every opposing team knows he ain't putting his hand in the dirt. He ain't blocking nobody.
But you still, put a little pizzazz on it. You don't have to showcase him on passing downs. Put him out there, even if it's a run play. Just have him split out or line up in the slot. Do something with him that makes teams think. Right now, McDaniel really doesn't have anybody thinking defensively. So change it up. But it will be nice to see a viable pass catching tight end on the field for the Dolphins. They have sorely missed that. They had Jonnu Smith last year. He was a huge difference with how the offense, and the defense is taking away Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Jonnu was a huge part of the offense, as we know. So if Waller can provide half of what Jonnu Smith did, it'll be a win for the offense because that might open up some other things.
Yeah. And like we said, there's not a lot of news. There'll be more news tomorrow. So I'm sure on some of the shows later this week with Josh and Aaron, myself and Doug Lee Durong, and some other shows with the pregame show with Eric and Robert Burns, we'll have more on the injury stuff. But right now, because the game's on a Monday, we don't have a lot. I want to talk about this ESPN article that was dropped earlier on Wednesday. I put some of the excerpts that concern the Dolphins up on my Twitter handle at DolphinsTalk. But I want to talk about them. It's between the two of the better NFL insiders out there who both work for ESPN, Jeremy Fowler and Daniel Graziano. And they're talking about buzz. What's the buzz happening around the league? What are they hearing? What's the rumor? What's the innuendo out there? What's going on? What's some of the buzz that might, who's going to play? Who's going to get benched? Who might be traded soon by the trade deadline? And 3 Miami Dolphins players were mentioned. First, let's start. Obviously the Miami Dolphins, you're 0-3. Playoffs are bleak, and everyone expects head coach to be fired soon. Everyone expects a general manager this to probably be his last year, although I'm not so sure about that. It's more hoping with him than actual thinking it might happen. But there's going to be some changes clearly on some level. And they got some guys, older guys, final year of their deals and stuff. And Daniel Graziano has said, keep an eye on Jalen Phillips, a 2021 first-round pick who's in the final year of his contract. If they make the call to start, or when they make the call to start moving some players, Phillips is going to be one of the more popular potential trade options as he is younger. And if you're trading to a team, that team then has the edge. They can look to re-sign him before he does hit the open market. So, and plus he's younger than someone like Chubb. He's younger than someone like Matthew Judon. He's had a lot of injuries. But, that's not a shock. We've said, if and when Miami starts to trade off some pieces, Phillips, Chubb, Judon are probably after Hill at least, the top 3 candidates. So let's start with Jalen Phillips. Tom, not a surprise that if Miami puts him on the block, there's probably going to be a bunch of teams picking up the phone to call the Dolphins about Jalen Phillips.
Oh, absolutely. He's a young talent. He does have a lot of pass rushing ability. The inability to stay healthy has just been unfortunate for him. The Achilles injury, and then the ACL injury last year. You can't blame the guy. Those are just freak injuries. He's back. He's playing. He hasn't had a huge impact so far this year, but he will definitely command a market where the Dolphins could probably fetch maybe a late day 2, early day 3 draft pick, because the other team will have the opportunity to re-sign him long-term. And he does have some value, and there are teams right now that are in need of edge players. One that comes to mind is San Francisco. They just lost Nick Bosa for the season, and they're 3-0. So the 49ers need to stay afloat. That is, the Dolphins are going to be hearing from the 49ers, in my opinion, because a guy like Jalen Phillips, he can come in. They don't have to pay him all-world money. He's going to command it because that's just the market. But the 49ers can use him, and if he plays well there, they can reward him with that big contract, and the Dolphins can fetch themselves maybe a round 3 or round 4 draft pick for him. Guys like Bradley Chubb, he's got a workable contract after the Dolphins and Chubb's agents worked out a deal that was helpful for the Dolphins and also helpful for Chubb, because this team is a sinking ship. Bradley Chubb can be had, and there's going to be teams calling for the likes of Bradley Chubb, and the same goes for Matt Judon. Judon only signed for a short-term 1-year deal, very cheap contract, and I'm sure he wants to play for a winner at some point if the Dolphins continue to lose. So the Dolphins have the ability to make these moves and to acquire draft capital, and it's much needed draft capital for potentially the new regime. And I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit. You had a great article up about that, Mike. I want to commend you for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is what it, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, I've written a lot more in the past few weeks, and I've gotten a lot of positive feedback about that, but yeah, we can talk about that as well. Also, the other name, and this one I think caught a lot of people by surprise, but again, makes sense. This is from Jeremy Fowler talking about the Chiefs offense, is having a lot of issues. And they need help with both wide receiver and running back. And, if you're assuming this is about Hill, it's not. They're saying that Miami, Wright is hurt, but when he gets healthy, he don't have a spot anymore. He's been passed by Ollie Gordon, and a lot of people liked Jalen Wright prior to that draft in 2024. And if you're Kansas City, who needs a lot of help right now at running back, they should be calling Miami about Jalen Wright. And you know what? If I'm Miami, first off, no one outside Chop Robinson and Patrick Paul and possibly Grant, nobody's safe on Miami. Everyone can be had for a price. But if the Chiefs or some other team wanted Wright, make an offer. Because I think with Achane and with Ollie Gordon, you got your 1-2, at least, this year, next year, maybe even the year after with a franchise tag for Achane. Jalen Wright, maybe he might not have a home here.
No, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of high hope for him, his ability, his speed. He runs with power. Can't stay healthy. He was available last week against the Bills. They didn't play him at all. I mean, at least to me, I don't think he even had a snap, but they had him dressed. Jalen Wright, he's young. He's got a really good contract based on where he was picked. There's going to be, like you said, the Chiefs is a prime example. Pacheco hasn't been the same since his rookie season. Kareem Hunt is older. You need to get some fresh legs in there. Jalen Wright's barely used. I know the Dolphins traded up. Of course, we all know they traded up to go get him. But Ollie Gordon as a 6th-round pick has been good. And I think they have their thunder and lightning. And Jalen Wright's going to be left out to pasture. So Jalen Wright could potentially fetch, a 5th, 6th-round draft pick at best from a team like the Chiefs that could be, looking for that spark on offense. And Jalen Wright could be that guy, and he could make an impact there right away. Again, like I said, Pacheco has been a shell of who he was his rookie season, and Kareem Hunt is just up there in age, and he's not going to get the amount of usage that he used to have. Andy Reid needs a new toy to play with on that offense, and Jalen Wright could fit the role.
Yep. And the last name in the article was, not surprising, Tyreek Hill. And this is from Jeremy Fowler. He goes, when Miami makes the call to move on from Hill, he said, keep an eye on Pittsburgh. He thinks that Pittsburgh will have a conversation about it. And that's in contrast, though, to what Mike Florio said last week. And I think Mike Florio might have the right thought process here. I think for Miami to trade Hill right now, it's tough, whether it's this week, next week, or next month, because a lot of teams are worried with that lawsuit that was just came out like a week or so back from his ex-wife, accusing him of 8 instances of domestic violence, that there's going to be pictures or some sort of video. And once that is out, he will be suspended within 24 hours. So the risk for any team trading for him is you have to be 100% sure that no pictures or no video will be coming out, which I don't think anyone can say with 100% certainty that would be the case. Because Let's be honest, who are you going to believe, him or her at this point? Honestly, you have to believe her with his track record. So trading Hill might be tricky. Now, if it doesn't come out by late October, then I think a team might feel a little safe trading for him then, knowing, okay, this has gone on like a month, nothing came out, but still that will make that trade tricky. And if anything does come out, they're not going to be able to trade him now. They won't be able to trade him next year. They should just cut him. If anything comes out like that, they should cut him. Cut him within 5 or 10 minutes, honestly, and just move on, because his career is then pretty much over. So the Hill one's tricky, but I think we all think if nothing like that comes out, he'll probably be traded. But what Mike Florio said is 100% accurate. If there's fear that there's some sort of evidence of any of this, that does throw a monkey wrench in everything. So I don't want to talk about that because it's Hill, and we all expect him. Look, he's playing his final, whether he's here all year or not. This is it for him. He ain't going to be here next year, one way or another. A couple questions here before we start talking about Dolphins Jets. One question I pondered today. You know, we've been talking about all this stuff with the 0-3 start. Mike McDaniel, the quarterback, Chris Greer, offensive line, secondary, Weaver. We talk about all this stuff. Here's a question from a big picture perspective. Don't talk about nitty gritty, actual like this, that play call, this play call. With the players we have, with the roster, how it's built, if we had another head coach that's not Mike McDaniel, say it could be someone who's not very good, let's say Robert Saleh. It could be Mike McCarthy. It could be someone who's on another team like Sean Payton. If we had any other head coach, do you think this season we'd still be 0-3? Or is Mike really just leading us down the wrong road here?
I don't think we'd be 0-3. I'm still in disbelief that they lost to the Patriots the way they did. They gave the game away in Buffalo, in my opinion. They, the stupid mistakes within the last 10 minutes of the football game really spoiled the chances of an upset. I mean, they were just flat against the Colts, so that's a loss. No matter how you slice it, it doesn't matter who is coaching at the time. Maybe it'd be a closer game. I think McDaniel's just right now leading us down a very dark path as a fan base. I think we've come to the crossroads of his tenure. And I think if there was another coach here, if they did pull the plug, there's another coach here with this current roster, we might still have Jalen Ramsey. We might still have Jonnu Smith, because you have a new voice, and that voice could have been like, oh, yeah, I want to play for this guy. And we could have held on to a lot of the core pieces on this football team instead we jettisoned them away. And that's why the Dolphins defense is putrid. Let's call it as it is. They're putrid. They've had a good couple drives defensively against the
couple drives in 3 games. They forced a couple punts.
They forced a couple punts, which is a complete 180 from what they've been the last 3 seasons. When you really think about it, the Dolphins defense, top 10 the last 2 years. Last year with Anthony Weaver, and this year is just, it's a disaster on that side of the ball, and the offense is not doing their part either. So it's just a unmitigated disaster in Miami, and I don't know who is going to fix this problem. It should be
nobody's going to fix it.
No
one here now is going to fix it.
No one's going to fix it overnight.
No one's going to fix it at all.
They once the decision is made, I don't want Mike Tannenbaum anywhere near this. I don't want anybody to oversee. I just want Stephen Ross to sit down and interview people with Tom Garfinkel and Dan Marino and talk to some general manager who will then bring in his person, and God willing, it's somebody good and somebody that has a voice in the locker room, and he doesn't take any crap from the players. The players won't walk all over him, and they respect who they're playing for.
2 things here real quick. Number one, the reason they're so bad on defense is because they never replaced.
Oh, no, they didn't do anything.
Campbell, Holland, or Ramsey. You cannot lose arguably your 3 best players on defense. I know Zach Sealer, probably the best player, but you get the point. 3 big players on defense, and Campbell on the line. You can't lose Ramsey. And I know Holland wasn't great last year. He's still way better than any other safety we got right now outside of Minka. You can't lose those 3 guys and go with like Grant. Grant's fine, but he's a rookie. He's not Campbell, who's been in this league forever. Okay, he's not going to come in on the first day and play like a vet who's been here since God knows how long he's been in the league. And they had no answer for losing Ramsey. Holland was just look. That's one because the head coach too. He couldn't get along. So those ones are there. I'll say this though: the reason you have Mike McDaniel is because Ross, Tom Garfinkel, and I don't know about Dan. They made that call on their own. Chris Greer was not. I know for a fact Chris Greer wasn't involved with that. We need to do what the Jets did, and I know this will drive fans nuts, but you have to take your emotion out of it, and don't be an overreactionary lunatic. The Jets went out there and they hired that firm of Rick Spielman and Mike Tannenbaum. They're like, bring us the candidates, and then we'll pick from the candidates. I'm not saying you let Tannenbaum pick it. I'm not saying like Rick Spielman pick it, but you let them compile the candidates of people who are ready for these roles, bring them to that group, and then let them make the call from the group. They're not sitting in on the interviews. They're not making a call, but they need to compile the names, because here's the deal. Tom Garfinkel came from the San Diego Padres. Ross is not a football guy. Marino is a great ex-player. You need the people in that world who know the other people in that world to be like, these are the hot candidates. These are the guys who are great but don't have a job currently. These are the guys who are ready to jump. Like, you got to have that list. And those are the guys who get you the list, that firm. So it doesn't have to be those two, but there's other firms like that where you got to be in business with them. And they got to bring you the names of the candidates. And that's how this works. Because if you leave it to Ross and Tom, it's going to be a disaster. They need to be given the names of the people. That's how Greer gets away with this stuff, because he's got two people above him who don't know that world. And he can sell them anything. And okay, Chris, you know more than us. It's like, that's how you get away with it. You need someone to bring them the names. And there's a lot of names. There's a lot of names with experience. There's a lot of names who don't have experience for general manager. Same thing for head coach. A lot of names with head coach experience, a lot of names without head coach experience. If you use a little common sense, some names aren't going to come here. John Gruden's not going to come here. Jeff Hafley from the Packers won't come here. Like, there's reasons why, which I've laid out in some articles. Hafley I haven't, but I probably will in the next few days or next week. He ain't coming here. Someone said Chris Shula, probably not happening either, just because who needs that pressure for that kid? He don't need that pressure. That's not fair to him. He'll find a job somewhere else where he can carve out his own niche. You don't need to come here. It would just be awful for him. But yeah, so those guys, that's how the process has to work. If it goes down that road, I'm still not sure Chris Greer is going to be going anywhere, but that's a whole different conversation for a different day. Leads into this, I think it's kind of funny too. A lot of fans of the Dolphins are like, hey, we're going to beat the Jets. We're 0-3, but they're 0-3. The Jets stink. They might not have the quarterback. I don't know who's starting a quarter. Who cares? Fields stinks. Tyrod Taylor, I'm not afraid of. Like, we're going to beat the Jets. It's at home. I don't know how anyone can think that way, but okay. If we don't, because the Jets almost won week 1 versus Pittsburgh. They almost won last week versus Tampa Bay. Just like us, they're 0-3, but they almost won 2 games. I mean, they're right there with us when it comes to equal level of coming close to not winning, but still sucking. So these two teams are carbon copies of each other. So my question is, if we lose, again, I've said over weeks, everyone will get fired eventually. Like, who cares if it happens now, happens later? Like, who cares? It will happen. But if we lose to the Jets at home on Monday night, I wouldn't be shocked. Now, it's a short week coming up, but I wouldn't be shocked if that does get the ball rolling for McDaniel to at least get let go sooner rather than later. Because 0-4, lose the Bills, the Pats, and the Jets. 2 of them at home, 2 of them in prime time. The Jets won the latest one, who they stink on toast. Losing that, like, that might get the ball rolling for this to happen for Mike sooner rather than later. Would you agree? Tom, I can't hear you.
Sorry, Mike was muted. You would hope that would be the case, that you would jettison the head coach. I mean, we know clearly he's lost the locker room. There are guys that still will play hard for him. You would hope. You can't start 0-3 in the division and expect to turn it around, right? This is a game where the Dolphins have to go out there. They have to win the football game and get to at least 1-2 in the division, get the Jets in the basement, and then you have you have that first win where maybe you can brood a little confidence in the room and get the ball rolling the right direction going into Carolina the following week. And then, maybe they do something well in Carolina and they pull another one out. Then they're 2-3 going back home to face the Chargers. And Yeah, I think if you win and you win convincingly against the Jets, you're going to bide time from if you're Mike
Yes.
McDaniel.
A win
But I
buys
think
him
your cutoff
time.
point will be the Baltimore game but the Thursday game against Baltimore, because again, they'll have 10 days between games. That will be the moment if they get shellacked by the Baltimore Ravens. If the Dolphins at that point are like 2-5, right?
Yeah.
But if somehow, some way they were like 3-4 or 4-3, they're not going to be 4-3. But let's say they luckily get to 3-4 before that football game. It'll bite him a little bit longer until they get.
If they get to that,
if they get to that point,
he's here all year.
Get to Spain.
He's here all year if they get to that point.
Correct, but if they get to Spain,
he's still here all year,
and they get crushed in Spain, and they're pretty much mathematically out of it at that point. You got 2 weeks off of there. That's the time to do it.
Well, if they get to 3-4, he's going to stay the year at that point because there does come a point where like it just makes no sense to fire him. I don't think they're going to win that many games all year. so I'm talking about if they get to 0-4, and I think that's when you have to seriously like it won't happen that week because again it's a short week and stuff. But then it could happen any Monday at that point on because then it's like. You become an utter embarrassment, laughingstock of the league. You're the worst of the worst. And then and I think you're also, as a human being, I think you're also helping out Mike, like put him out of his misery. Like, Mike, go home, take off the next, 6 months, find a job come January and just, give him a little bit of a break too.
Oh, he'll 100%
I'm sure he'll find, yeah, I'm sure. And God love those people. Whoever hires him next, even as an OC, good luck getting the plays in on time. Only took him 4 years here. But it's just like, yeah. So I think a loss here just takes the toxicity level, if I say that right, to like off the charts. And it's going to get even worse. And it's been bad for the first month. It'll make it even worse. A win, though, does sort of calm everyone down. Like, at least we're not the Jets type of deal, which in the long run might not be the best thing. But in the short term, it does just calm everyone down. It does get a win under their belt. So there's that. All right. Before we move on, a quick shout out to everyone at finheaven.com. Everyone go to finheaven.com, the largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet. Also, wherever you're listening, subscribe. Whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Audible, hit that subscribe button. Marissa's got 2 big interviews this week. One of them has already been recorded. It's probably going to drop Friday. And she's got one that's tentatively will drop on Saturday. You're not going to want to miss it, folks. I promise you're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be one of the biggest interviews we've ever had on this site. So make sure you're subscribed. So when that show drops, you are made aware. Also, MyBookie. Everyone go to mybookie.com. Use a promo code Dolphins. Your first bet that you place, make sure you click the bet back bonus token. Why? If you lose that bet, you get your money back and you can just place another bet. It's like it never happened. You won't get that with any other website. You won't get that with a guy on a street corner that you place your bets with. You do get it with mybookie.com. You go to mybookie.com, promo code Dolphins. Your first bet, it could be college football, Major League Baseball, WNBA. You can bet the goddamn Ryder Cup on Sunday. They don't care. Bet whatever you want to bet. Your first bet up to $500. As long as you hit the bet back bonus token. If you win, great. You just won. If you lose, don't worry about it because you get all your money back. Who does that in America? MyBookie does. Go to mybookie.com, promo code Dolphins. Bet back bonus token. All right, let's go Dolphins, Jets by the numbers. This is sad. These are clearly 2 of the worst teams in the league. Total offense, Jets 26, Miami 23rd. Passing offense, Jets 31st, Miami 21st. Rushing offense, Jets tied for 9th, Miami 26th. Scoring offense, Jets 16th. They put up some points. Miami's only 25th scoring offense. That's not good. Total defense, this gets worse. Jets 22nd, Miami 26th. Passing defense, Jets 14, Miami 21. Rushing defense, Jets 23rd, Miami 28. And then the most important one, scoring defense. How many points you give up? The Jets are tied for 28th. Don't worry, Miami's dead last at 32nd. Those numbers stink for both teams. So let's first start with Miami has the ball. What do they have to do to win? I think it's simple, Tom. Tua can't turn it over. They aren't good enough as a team to overcome his turnovers. When he turns it over, game over, they lose. I don't care who they're playing. They cannot overcome his turnovers. We've seen that this year. They also need to stick to the running game. Do you know, fun fact, the Miami Dolphins are averaging 5.2 yards per carry this year? 5.2. Here's another fun fact. They have the least amount of rushing attempts in the whole NFL. The one thing they do well, this head coach doesn't want to do. It absolutely, so anyone who calls him a genius, it blows my mind. The offensive line can actually run block, even with all the injuries. They actually run block better with the injuries, which is kind of scary. They can't pass block, but they can run block. So what do? They do the opposite. Tua can't throw it deep. He just can't. He's shot. He's not the same guy anymore. So they got to find new and creative ways to throw it short. You can't just throw it to Achane every goddamn time. They got to come up with new and creative ways to throw it short, stick to the running game. Tua can't turn it over, and give me more Ollie Gordon and more Malik Washington because they look like they got a bright future here. Those guys have played well. Tom, some of your thoughts. What do the Dolphins have to do when they have the football?
You hit the nail on the head. Run the football. Run the football. I've said it consecutive weeks, actually 3 straight weeks. Just run the ball. You have an electric running back in Devon Achane who can get to the second level in a blink of an eye. Like, he's through the line of scrimmage, he's at the second level, and then it's really just speed versus tackling ability. Because if he can get by the second level, he can go. Ollie Gordon is a bruising back. He can get out of tackles. He's got some speed to him. Just run the ball. The Jets struggle against the run. Was it James Cook ran for like 140 yards? The Bills ran for like 200 in the game or something. Just run the football. Keep the quarterback. Get the game out of Tua's hands. Is the best way to do it right now, because if he's going to continue, like you said, to turn it over consistently, game after game, every turnover has led to points. So don't turn it over. Allow Tua to do his play action passes, which is what the team did so well through a good portion of McDaniel's tenure here, was play action passes because of the threat of the run. Last year, they didn't threat anybody with the run. The offense fell apart. This season so far, McDaniel refuses to run the football, and it falls apart. So why don't you just run the ball? I don't care if you're averaging 2-3 yards a carry. Run the ball twice. I don't care. Let the Jets stack the box. Scare them. And then maybe you can hit your shots over the middle in the intermediate zones, the 10 to 20-yard throws. That's what Tua has done really well. They're not doing it. So for the last time on this show tonight, run the freaking football. That is the game plan. And I hope that's on the big screen as they're walking through the locker room. Run the freaking football.
It might be on the big screen, but he's got the remote. He'll change the channel real quick because that's not what he's going to do. He doesn't like to run the football. Now, when the Jets have the ball, here's the deal. As of today, as of right now, Wednesday night, as we record or live, we don't know who the quarterback's going to be, but it's simple. If it's Tyrod Taylor, I blitz the hell out of him since he really can't move all that well. I'm just sending blitzers after him, try to get pressure, try to rattle him. If it's Justin Fields, you better have a spotter or a spy on him at all times. And don't blitz too much, because if he gets past that blitz, he's going to run. He'll run for 200 yards in this game. So
he did it against the Dolphins when he was with the Bears.
And here's the other thing too. Tyrod Taylor didn't look awful last week. He has, the way our quarterback's playing, if it is Tyrod Taylor, I'm not sure he's not the best quarterback on the field Monday night with the way our quarterback's turning it over. So if you're sitting there going, oh, great, it's Tyrod Taylor, he's the backup. I don't know. I think I'd rather face Fields, honestly. So it's like, because Fields, he can't make plays with his arm. Tyrod actually can. And if he gets hot, watch out. So there's that aspect of it. And honestly, with either one of them, though, you want to stop the running game, force him to pass. That's to beat the Jets. And put 2 guys on Wilson and make someone else on the Jets beat you, whether it's Mason Taylor or another wide receiver. Don't let Wilson beat you. He's their best. He is their best guy. He's the best player on the team. Don't let him beat you. Make someone else beat you if you are going to lose. So that's how I'm stopping the Jets, Tom.
All right. So what's going to be worse, Mike? Watching the Jets beat the Dolphins or seeing Jason Taylor wearing a Mason Taylor jersey on the sideline, which will be a Jets uniform?
I don't think that's going to happen.
No, you don't think he's going to be?
Here's the
No?
deal. I can't get into any. I don't want to share it because it's not mine to share. I was told by a little birdie though. If you're a fan, I'm sure they're going to show this on TV. If you're in the stadium, you're going to see it. Don't tune in late. It's going to be a special coin toss ceremony, and that's all I'm going to say. Don't guess. I'm not going to tell you if your guess is right, if your guess is wrong. Just it's going to be a very special coin toss situation this week, and let's just leave it at that because I can't talk anymore about it. And if someone guesses yes, no, I ain't doing it. So, but he won't be wearing a Jets thing. I'll just say that. Okay, now.
So
go ahead.
So for defensively, I would go back a few weeks, turn on the tape from the Buffalo Bills, and kind of what they threw at schematically at the Jets in that game that had Justin Fields completely flustered. Like he didn't even know how to play quarterback in that game. Obviously, the Bills are highly talented football team, but you got to look at the schematic of what they were doing to force Justin Fields into those situations and to maybe here's another fun fact, Mike. Neither defense has forced a turnover this season. So both of them will be looking for them, and this is prime real estate and prime opportunity for the Dolphins defense to finally cause a turnover this season to try to help their struggling offense, which they haven't done really all year. So they have to be careful with Breece Hall. Breece Hall is Devon Achane light, where he is a good receiving back and he does have the capability to break off big runs. You have to make sure that you bracket Garrett Wilson. He's really the only wide receiver there that's scary. Garrett Wilson's a very good football player. And you have to make sure you cover the tight ends. The thing that really pissed me off watching the Bills game is they were running 3 tight ends consistently at the Miami Dolphins, and the Dolphins had no answers for 3 tight ends. And Dan Orlovsky on NFL Live said, if you're not apt to run a 12 personnel or to stop a 12 personnel, you're going to struggle this year. The Dolphins can't run it because they don't have it, and they can't stop it because they never have. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets ran a lot of 12 personnel to try to fluster the Dolphins defense, put a lot of pressure on the middle of that defense, because Miami hasn't shown they can stop tight ends at this point. And I think that's what the Jets are going to lean on, is that 12 personnel. So Dolphins better send, like you said, send the blitzes on Tyrod Taylor. Make sure you have a viable spy on Justin Fields, if it is Justin Fields, and force some turnovers. If you can force some turnovers, the Dolphins will win the football game. I'll be point blank. Don't turn it over and force some turnovers. The Dolphins will find a way to win.
I totally agree. All right. It's now that time in the show. It's now time for Mike and Tom's Fearless Predictions. Dolphins at Jets, Monday Night Football, Hard Rock Stadium, 7:15. There will be 2 Monday Night Football games this week. The Dolphins kick off first at 7:15. Chris Fowler, Louis Riddick, and Dan Orlovsky on the call. Tom, what say you? What is your prediction for this week?
I'm hoping for better results, just from a standpoint of watching the game and not being frustrated. Get the ball first. Put points on the board. The Jets aren't a good football team. They will be better for the games that they have played in this year, minus the game against the Bills. But they had the Bucks on the ropes. They had the Steelers on the ropes, and they just can't find a way to finish a game. They're going to be without Quincy Williams. It's a huge loss in their linebacker room, and that's a huge plus for the Dolphins if Mike McDaniel gets out of his own damn way and decides to run the ball, right? If you can run the ball efficiently and effectively and do it more than 12 to 15 times in the game, you have a shot to win. From a defensive standpoint, I just want to see some life at the beginning of the game. I want to see 3 and out from the defense on the opening series defensively. I want to see them put their stamp on this game to allow their pass rushers the ability to get home. Unfortunately, right now, the pass rush not getting home unless they're sending odd man blitzes. So win your one-on-one battles, get after the quarterback. It doesn't matter who it is. Rattle them. And maybe, just maybe, you can get some coverage sacks, maybe a turnover. This game is going to be the polar opposite of what we just watched on Monday, where we saw the Lions and the Ravens put up a combined 68 points. This is not the game that you would be expecting to see high scoring between two bad teams. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I pick them like almost every week except for last week. I'm going to do it again. They're going to bother me. I'm going to pick them. Dolphins win 20-17 at home with the damn rivalry uniforms. That's the reason they're going to win, is because they got those beautiful uniforms on.
All right, 20-17 Dolphins for Tom. Two bad teams playing in the Lenoris Sellers Bowl, I like to call it. Loser has the inside track to the top pick. Unless those pesky Saints keep losing, they might go winless, unfortunately. They might actually have the real inside track. But I digress. Both Miami and the Jets have lost two heartbreaking games this year where they were in it till the final minutes. These are obviously, well, by far the worst two secondaries in the NFL, too. Neither one of these teams can stop anybody in the passing game. Both teams should be able to pass with ease this week. Aaron Glenn is a new and fresh face for the Jets. And the Jets players play really hard for him. They play with a lot of emotion. They play with a lot of energy. They go all out for Aaron Glenn each week. The Dolphins, well, they haven't quit on Mike McDaniel, but they do look like a team that's kind of going through the motions. They don't have that energy and zest. I just see it a lot. You watch a lot of these other NFL games, these guys have a lot of pep in their step, let's just say. If Tyrod Taylor plays, like I said, I'm not sure he's not the best quarterback on the field Monday night. If Miami can run the ball, Tom, stick with the run, and if the defense can build on a few of the stops they had last week and how they played versus the Bills, Miami will have a chance. Not a good chance, but they'll have a chance at the end of this game. But can the Dolphins do that? Can they build on defense? Force some more punts? Get some more stops? Can the offense cut down on the mistakes? Run the ball more? Have that 5.2 yards per carry? Maybe, not turn it over, hopefully. That's the question we're asking. Now, look, I might be a sick son of a bitch, but I'm buying in one more time. I don't think this team wins more than 4 games all year, but this has to be one of the 4. If this team loses to the stinking Jets at home in prime time with the special uniforms, then fire everyone on Tuesday morning. I got the stupid headset on. There, give me the hat one more time. Give me Miami. There we go. Give me Miami 24-17 over the Jets. They can't lose to this team, Tom. They can't lose to the Jets at home. If they do, fire everybody.
Yeah. Should be a lot of fun.
It should be a lot of fun. Hey, if they lose, I'll say this right now. Our post-game show Monday night is going to be electric. It's going to be fire. If they lose to either Tyrod Taylor or Justin Fields, I'm telling you now, you're going to want to listen to the post-game wrap-up show.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be maybe our greatest one ever. And I do want to share this comment. And people go, Mike, this team stinks. Why do you have this website? Why do you do this podcast? And I always say, I'm a man of the people. I do it for the people. Yeah. From Leonardo in our chat. Random selfish note. Mike, please never retire from these podcasts. You are seriously like my Jesus. I have been called Jesus before. Your podcasts have honestly kept me from being being a Dolphins fan through the misery. You're a legend. I've been called a legend before. Leonardo, I'm not a legend. You're a legend. Thank you for being a supporter. Thank you for the kind words. And yes, I don't plan on retiring anytime soon.
Unless Liam Eichenberg's back in the starting line.
Well, that's a different story. Liam comes back, all bets are off. No one should be held. No one should be forced to watch Liam Eichenberg. I got to switch. Chance again. This one's too uncomfortable. I threw the other one, Tommy. I shouldn't have thrown the other one. There we go.
There it is. There's that beautiful hat.
There we go.
There it is.
All right. Whew. Okay, we got to do picks. Now, last week we both went 2-1. So pretty good. We're on the positive side. Greer, please retire. Do us a favor. Yeah, he can retire anytime he wants. He's been making 6 figures for a long time. He's got the money to retire. Okay. So you're at 6-3. I'm at 3-6, but we both went 2-1 because we both had a rough start to the season. So we got 2 locks and upset. Tommy, give me your 2 locks first. Who are your 2 locks for this week?
2 locks. Number 1 is Washington on the road with their quarterback possibly.
No, he's out.
He's out. Coming back.
He's out.
But regardless.
Yeah, I know.
Mariota played great last week. He didn't have to do a hell of a lot. Their defense has been tremendous for a majority of the season. Sans the Thursday night game against the Packers, even though the Packers didn't really put up too big of a fight. They're playing against the Falcons, who got railroaded by the Carolina Panthers on the road last week, 30-0. Michael Penix looked completely lost. They have lost their way in Atlanta, and I think this is one of those moments for the Falcons. Raheem Morris experience might be ending sooner than anticipated, especially if they lose this week, and I think they will. Even with a banged-up Washington team, I just don't see the Falcons scoring enough points to keep up. Give me Washington minus 1.5 on the road against Atlanta. And this one, I would probably say is just about a lock, and it's the team that Washington played last week. Give me the Chicago Bears plus. I
had them last week, yeah.
On the road against Vegas. Vegas looks terrible. Did you see the stat? Ashton Genty has 145 yards total, and he has 144 yards after contact. He's got 1 yard this year that he wasn't contacted, essentially. That is bad. Geno Smith has regressed. They can't get Brock Bowers involved as much as they would like to. And Pete Carroll's probably pissed he came out of retirement for this. And I think the Bears last week got their wake-up call. Caleb Williams had a hell of a football game. Their offense is loaded with talent, and I think they're going to continue because the Raiders suck. So give me the Bears plus 1.5 on the road.
Yeah, I think the Bears are about to go on a run, actually. It took them a few weeks, but I think they're about to go on a run with that offense. First lock, this Indianapolis Colts and Jones little fairy tale comes to an end. Give me the Rams minus 3.5 at home over Indy. I think the Rams, that was a tough loss last week. Now they're going home. Someone's going to pay for that. They're going to take it out on the Colts. The Colts have had a nice start, nice run. I think it comes to an end on the road this week in Los Angeles. Give me the Rams laying 3.5. I wish it was rather 3 or less, but give me the Rams. Yeah, I'm looking at next week's actually. Yeah, they play this week. Very confused. When you're called Jesus, it does sort of throw you for a loop. Make sure, yes, Rams this week. It's still 3.5 at home versus the Colts. The second one, and this team is way better than the record they got. Houston, they could have won last week. Nico Collins fumbled up out of nowhere, cost me a parlay. And then the week before, Monday night, they lost with like 5 seconds left. Houston's going to beat up on the Tennessee Titans. Look, and it's only a touchdown. I don't care. Lay the touchdown. Houston's at home. Cam Ward looks like he sucks. Now, I'm not saying he's going to suck forever, and part of it's that team and the head coach, he gave up the play calling. Novel idea. Give me Houston laying a beating on Tennessee. Tennessee is in rough shape right now. That's a team that might have the top pick of the draft too. And if they do, they're not taking a quarterback, but they will trade that and get a mountain and get a batch of picks back for a team who does want a quarterback. Houston's going to just destroy Tennessee, lay the touchdown there. I'm going to go first on the upset since I'm on a roll. I'm a believer. I thought this team, when I looked at their schedule, and I said it 100 times to you, Tom, this is the worst first 6-7 game stretch to open a season I've ever seen. You can make a case the Cleveland Browns should be 2-1. Week 1, Cincinnati, they only gave up not 7 points, 7 fucking yards in the second half to Joe Burrow, healthy, Higgins, Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, 7 yards in the second half of that game. How they lost, because the guy missed a couple kicks. That's why they lost. This week, they beat the Packers at home. I know the Lions are good, and they're the toast of the town because they beat the Ravens. 10 points in this league still a lot. And the Lions ran the ball down the Ravens' throat. Guess what? They ain't running it down Cleveland's throat. Cleveland ain't going to win, but they'll lose by less than 10. Give me the Cleveland Browns. Give me the 10 points. That game might be 17-9. That game might be, 17-10. Cleveland going to keep it close enough where they cover the 10. Give me the Brownies plus 10. That defense is unreal. Ask Jordan Love if you don't believe me.
All right. So now it's time for mine. Week 1, this team sucked. They made a point to cover the spread and really mess up my Sunday when they did this against Arizona. And last week they put the drubbing on Atlanta at home. I just see this team going on the road against a terrible football team that did beat the Dolphins. They beat the Dolphins, and they turned it over, 5 times last week against Pittsburgh? Give me the Carolina Panthers plus 5.5 on the road against the Patriots. Drake May didn't look like he did against the Dolphins. He looked like prime Tom Brady against Miami.
Everyone's going to have their best day against us now.
He looked like Steve Grogan at the end of his career last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I like, you have those moments with Bryce Young. You're just like, man, this guy he's a bust. He stinks. And then he goes out there and he has a great football game. And he didn't have a great game against Arizona, but he had a hell of a second half that had them in the football game at the very end to, lose by 5. I think they can cover 5. I think this is going to be a very low scoring game between two teams that have, decent defenses. I think Carolina's a little bit better. And I think Ted McMillan, with the likelihood Christian Gonzalez isn't playing again, is going to have a monster game. So give me Carolina plus 5.5.
All right. Those are the picks. We'll see what happens. As always, bet responsibly, especially with the NFL games. I even stopped posting picks for NFL games on Sundays because I feel bad. The NFL betting those games on Sunday, you want to pull your hair out. From week to week, you just never know what you're going to get. So I don't even bet those games anymore. On college games, I make some money. So follow those picks. Even though off to a little bit of a slow start, I'm still making money. Don't bet them all, but, I'm still doing pretty good. But just the pro games are so tough to bet. Before we wrap up, Todd, you said early in the show that you loved one of my articles. Tell the world why you loved it so much and why I'm right.
I love the article because, essentially, there's a lot of great candidates that are going to want the Miami Dolphins general manager and head coaching job. It's going to be an attractive job because you're going to be able to pick your quarterback. You're going to be able to pick all of your coaches. You're going to be able to pick. You're going to have the pick of the litter, and you're going to have high draft picks. And oh, by the way, once they move on from Tyreek Hill, once they move on from some of these bigger contracts, potentially the quarterback next year, if they want to eat $99 million, you're going to have the opportunity to develop your own guy, to have the ability to change the culture in a once proud franchise.
There's low expectations.
There's going to be a lot.
The expectations are low. No one's asking you to come in
Low
here like in
expectations.
mountains. Just win a playoff game.
Correct. When the Dolphins hired Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins were already on that trajectory up, right? Now they're coming back down to earth. So now you start them from the ground floor again, and you got to build them up. But the first thing you have to do is you got to put a stamp on the culture of this franchise. You have to change what this franchise is about. And I think this is going to be and I agree with you, this is a very attractive job. I think it's going to bring Stephen Ross to the point where he will probably send resources, whether it's in the form of money or in the form, in my opinion, of a draft pick for a coach that might be had for a draft pick that's currently coaching another team. Won't get into it at this point, but just have that on your radars.
Well, it's not the one everyone thinks of. He ain't coming here.
We'll talk.
He ain't coming here. No, I mean, He was the one who hired Flores. He ain't coming here. He knows all the stories, just like why Halfley ain't coming here because Matt LaFleur is tight with Mike McDaniel. He knows all the stories, and he goes, I don't want that mess. So those guys aren't coming here. If someone knows,
no, so we're not talking the same names. We're
Okay.
not talking the same names. We're not talking the same names. So,
Okay. All right.
But one way or the other, it's an attractive job.
It's an attractive job as long as Chris Greer's out of the building.
Yes, that's the key point. The general manager.
The only way Ross screws this up is if he moves Chris Greer to senior advisor of football operations. Even if he tells him you can stay at home every day, don't show up, it's still bullshit. You can't do it because no new guy is going to want just the thought that this guy is going to be looking over my shoulder at any moment and possibly running back to the owner going, I don't know why you hired him. You don't know what he's doing. Like, he has to be gone. And I mean gone. Turn in your badge, wish you the best on your future endeavors, talk to HR on the way out, sign some paperwork. Gone. Like that
Change
level
the code
gone.
of the building.
Yeah, I mean, he's got enough money to never work again. I don't say this with joy. I don't say this with glee. I'm just saying he got to go. Because if you give him a new title, even if you tell him to stay at home every day, don't show up, that's not enough. Because all the new candidates know it's just a matter of time till Ross calls him in, and then he is sitting there, he's working against you, and Ross is here. He's got to go. He's got to be gone. Like McDaniel's got to be gone. They all got to be gone. Okay? That's the only, and you will get the best candidates. Because, spoiler alert, we're going to have a top 5 or top 6 pick, something like that. You're going to be able to reset the franchise. You're going to have top picks in each round. You got tradable assets. Moving on from the quarterback, everybody thinks it's so impossible. If you're going to cut Hale, you're going to cut Alec Ingle and these guys, you can offset most of them, not all of it, most of it, and have it not be as bad as some people think. Like, people don't even think about stuff like this, but it's not as bad. It's easy to move on to from after this year, especially with a rookie head coach and rookie GM. It's a honeymoon year anyways. You go in 5 or 6 games next year, no one's going to care. Like, give them time. That's a lot of work. So this will be an attractive job. The only way it's not is if Ross just doesn't move on from Greer. Yep. Like, give him a job in the real estate division. Tell him to show up in Manhattan every day. He just can't be in Miami Gardens. It's the only way this job's not attractive. And if he doesn't get rid of him, the job's not attractive, and you're going to get another first-year head coach who doesn't know what he's doing, and it's going to be Groundhog's Day of more years of hell.
Yep.
Have a great Wednesday night.
Jesus has spoken.
Yes, Jesus has spoken. That should be a new segment. Jesus has spoken. Well, people who didn't see this segment or didn't see the show will be like, what an arrogant SOB thinks he's Jesus, and not even get the joke. But does make it more fun. Everyone, thank you for listening. Be sure to follow Tom on social media at DolphinsTalk Tom. Follow myself at DolphinsTalk on Instagram, Threads, Twitter, Blue Sky, TikTok. We're on all of them. If YouTube, here's the deal. YouTube, subscribe. Here's why. We're going to drop a show this weekend you're not going to want to miss. Okay? You're just not going to want to miss it. And as soon as it drops, you're going to want to be notified on your smart device. So you can go, oh, damn. Click. I got to listen to that now. So subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that show. We got shows all week. Josh and Aaron, they're going to sing their song. Everyone knows the song. They're going to sing this song tomorrow night. It's Jets week. You know the song if you're a longtime listener. Friday, myself and Doug should have a show. Marissa and Rich Samini, Jets beat reporter. And then we're going to have a big show on Saturday. And then we got the pregame show over the weekend as well with Eric and Robert Burns. So we're going to have it covered. Everyone, have a great night. Wear your rivalries gear this weekend. Get ready for the game. And as always, we must put an end to highway profanity.
Fins up.